Forge the Narrative.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I'm joined tonight by Chris Morgan and Ricky Addington.
Yo.
2 weeks in a row.
Dude, man, happy to have you both. Thanks for joining me. This is a big old nerd week.
So much nerding.
I'm going to see Endgame tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll be at work.
Pretty excited about that. Then we got episode 3 of this season of Game of Thrones. No spoilers. It's just, I think stuff's going to go down. I'm willing to bet that the Night King and Thanos are going to rack up quite the body count of tears.
There's going to be so many people crying this weekend. Like,
I can only hope.
It's going to be bad, guys. Everybody, hey, look, everybody be there for each other, all right? Support
that's
one
it.
another.
That's
real
the message.
friends, lift each other up.
There's going to be some things that bring people down. You be the guy, whoever you are in whatever circle of friends, build people up.
Yeah. You see your bro crying, hand him a handkerchief, be subtle about it, and move on.
Real talk. Not even necessarily completely kidding. If there's somebody that you talk with on a regular basis and they go quiet, message them and just say, yo, what's up? Thinking about you.
Yeah. There's one question you should ask. Are you trying not to spoil it for me? Or did you fall into some sort of depression?
Just spark that conversation. That's all I'm saying. I think we'll all be better off if we just did that from time to time.
Yeah, except me. Until I watch both, then don't talk to me.
I'm not going to tell you what happens. But
Yeah.
but if you don't hear from me, I'm watching it tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, if you don't hear from me at all,
All right.
I don't check in or whatever, you
I
are
will
obliged
check in.
to see what's up with me.
Yeah, but your response should be one word answers. I don't want to see
Fine,
if I see anything that looks like it's going into a compound sentence. You're done.
Yep.
I'm shutting
That's
it down.
fine. No, that's my responsibility. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm supposed to be like, I'm fine, everything's fine, we're all cool, we'll go out next week or whatever.
Yeah, and then when Chris's state gets the movie, we'll do it for him too.
Oh man! And this weekend we also had the Barnyard Brawl. I'm going to be streaming as best as I can my games from that weekend.
That's gonna be great. I'm gonna watch your streams while I'm having league night at our store because I think I'm going to be sitting there making sure the store is open until late so everybody can get their league games in.
Well, I'm taking pretty close to the same Eldar list that I've taken the last 2 major tournaments. The one that has 3 Wraith, Hemlocks, and then 1 Crimson Hunter Exarch, and then a unit of Dark Reapers, and then 30 Guardians, basically 2 units of 15 Guardians, or one's 15, one's 14. And they do really well for me. I mean, of the games that I've played, I've legitimately only lost 1 game with them. I mean, this is out of the 30 games or so tournament games that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
I lost 1 game with them, and that was largely my fault. So if I could figure out how I should not screw up that singular game, then I might be undefeated right now.
Yeah, 3 Hemlocks it's hard to ever say that 3 Hemlocks is the wrong answer.
Well, this was pre-orcs. So my opinion is that since orcs exist, my list is automatically weaker.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know. We don't see a lot of orc players in my local area, but we oddly don't have that many Eldar players either. It's kind of crazy.
This. Every day, if you are a concerned tournament player, every single day that goes by, there's more opportunity for another orc player to have his army finished. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah, because, orcs take a little while, right? So, any other codex, you got a couple of weeks, and then it's on. Orcs, you got a couple of months, and then it's just...
That depends. That depends on the orc player. I would say that for new orc players. For existing orc players, maybe not so much. What you really got to worry about is Genestealer cult players getting their armies done.
Oh, man, look. I know I'm going to catch grief. We caught grief from the last episode we did on Grey Knights. The Grey Knights episode we did was divisive, and I want to talk about how divisive it was. But how
many devices were involved?
It's the ones with the double A's, triple A's, the ones that plug into the wall, the ones you're supposed to use
USB cables
under medical supervision, stuff that you can't operate without a license.
Some strong feelings.
I'm talking about ones that plug into the wall like a kickstart. But anyway, where I'm going, lots of divisive feelings around the Grey Knight topic that we did because we were trying to give a skeleton for what we thought would be a tough Grey Knight list.
and 3 Dread Knights, right? I mean, I thought we established this.
Okay, yeah, but people came out of the woodwork, man, to talk about how 3 Dread Knights, or Dread Knights in general, were a bad idea.
Wow.
And that Drago and Voldus, the Voldus hits just like Drago, are where it's at. Like spend money on these guys. Spend money, because we kept saying Nemesis Dread Knights, Nemesis this, Nemesis that. It's going to be amazing. And the people that are out there in the trenches said, don't do that.
We were looking at my buddy's list, and we were going 2 Dread Knights and Drago, and we considered Voldus for a long time, and there was something that had us.
Voldus hits equally as hard as Drago. That's the cool thing about him. And we've talked about that on previous shows. It's like, why aren't we talking about Voldus? Because I don't know why. Because he hits exactly his output of damage is exactly the same as Drago. Give or take, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but giving Drago the potential to have a 2+ invul is really good. Drago's a beast.
He should be walking around carving his name in hearts and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I still like Drago, and I mean Drago's a cool character, so you want him in a list, right? Just because he's cool.
I'm going to say this now, and I'll say it again. Drago is a Horus clone. He's a Horus clone.
Cite your sources.
Man, I remember having this conversation like 3 years ago, and it pretty much went just where Ricky did.
Yeah, if this feels familiar, I also think I heard the crinkling of your tinfoil hat.
Let me cite my sources.
Oh, God.
Let me cite them. Are you ready?
Here we go.
Yeah. Oh, ye of little faith.
Take notes, Chris. We're going to rip this apart later.
What does Drago do? He lives in the warp.
Yes.
And he does all this warp stuff, and then just occasionally comes out of the warp. He lives these fantastic adventures in the warp and battles Primarchs. The largest, baddest mamma-jammas in the warp that they're there. He battles them on the regular.
Yeah, he knocked over Slaaneish's rock garden and peed in Nurgle's yard and all that. We get that.
And carved his name in Mortarion's heart.
Yeah, but that was before he was, hop, skipping, and jumping through the warp.
You say so. Pretty sure he was doing all that at the time.
Nah. This is my shtick, Paul. You can talk tournaments all you want, but the lore, that's where I am the gods of chaos. All right.
Call me crazy, Chris, but I believe him. I think he's right. I mean, you can't argue with that. Facts.
Calvor Drago became Grandmaster during that battle, where he carved his name into Mortarion's heart. There's actually an audio drama about that called Mortarion's Heart. And he did not get banished into the warp until after he was already Grandmaster.
But now he just jumps in about like he wants.
I don't know, Chris, because it feels like, he just comes and goes as he pleases.
He has an in and out pass. He's got his
Listen, Rick, he saved the trolls for the Age of Sigmar show, because that's where they are.
He's got his bracelet that gives him the in and out ability to the warp. Look, I'm cool with this. I understand it. I understand.
I can just picture Chris is going to have like this red yarn timeline on this wall at the house. He's just like just freaking out. He's like, I'm gonna show him. But I'm gonna show him all.
You can't map the lore pathways in my brain.
The whole path.
No room can contain it.
Drago, as he's walking through all the trials and coming in and out of the warp, it mimics the exact quest that Horus went on at Molech.
No, because Horus pledged his service to the Chaos Gods and fought on behalf of the Chaos Gods against the other Chaos Gods in turn.
Okay, he walked around fighting demons, so maybe he's on behalf of the Chaos Gods.
He fought with demons against other demons. Drago just fights demons. Listen,
that is one layer of information that could or could not be there of the eyes of the viewer. That is one.
No, that's one layer of information you're not willing to dig down into.
I'll dig down into it. What I'm telling you is that if you were looking out and someone writing the story, that's one thing they could or could not want to include in the story.
I think we heard it here first, folks. Horus is still loyal, and he's out there protecting us from chaos.
He is decidedly not loyal.
Great work, Horus.
And he's about as loyal as Ricky is right now to this conversation.
I have already attempted to put my fanboy thoughts in the ears of the Black Library writers. They have categorically shut me down.
Tell me they did that polite nod thing where they're just like, yeah, thank you for your input. Thank you.
One of them completely ignored me. One of them sort of pretended like he cared. I'm like, I got it all figured out, man.
I liked David's response to my Mephiston theory. That was fun. But I'm pretty much right there with you on that.
Yeah, I got it all. I got the last moments of Sanguinus all figured out exactly like it's supposed to go.
You know what? The worst part is
can't wait. Can we get that on the show right now? I really want to have that for later.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. I'll talk about it.
No particular reason. I want to know.
Here's the problem, though. As soon as you say it, even if it's exactly what was planned, they will have to go back and change it so you don't get credit for calling it.
No, you know when something gets changed like that. Cause
Aaron Dembski-Bowden did a Reddit AMA, and he talked about shadowing forums and seeing the people who guessed things right versus guessed things wrong. So they're paying attention.
And then send assassins to kill them.
Silence them.
All right, what's your Sanguinius theory, Paul? I really want to hear
of
this.
The battle with Horus specifically.
Oh yeah, go for
it. It requires a lot of interpretive dance and mayonnaise.
So Harlequins are involved.
Well, thankfully for everybody, you can do the dance and nobody has to watch it.
A lot of greasy servitors. No, Sanguinus knows when you look. Before anyone questions I recently with a few articles and stuff that I've written, people have questioned my devotion to certain factions, whether it be to Chaos or whether it be to Blood Angels or whatever. And this may not even mean anything, but I want to point out that when I type in, when I'm saying I'm trying to write the word back, I'll be right back into my phone. When I type BA, it capitalizes BA and then spaces. So there's no way for me to even finish typing the word back because it assumes that I'm trying to type Blood Angels and move on to the next word.
Yeah, I get the same thing with Sed and Sanguinius.
I was texting a coworker today about some chainsaws that were turning in to the state, and
it changed the chainsaw, didn't it?
Changed it to chainsword. I wasn't even mad. I hit send.
Just we need a new Twitter trend. 40k problems.
Oh yeah.
I just don't come on. I don't every word every time I type BA, it's not about Blood Angels, but the phone thinks it is.
I think it probably should be. But,
it should be.
I'm willing to talk.
That's just a friendly reminder that you should be talking about Blood Angels more. I think it's what your phone's saying.
Sanguinus knows what's up. He has spent all his time defending Terra, the palace, and he knows that his time is coming short. He can feel that. He knows he's going to defeat every bloodthirster that comes up. It's like it's nothing to him anymore. He knows it's his job. If Chaos were to send 100 bloodthirsters to him, that is 100 bloodthirsters he must defeat. And that's just the way it's going to work out for the rest of that day. He also knows that of all the Primarchs, of all the people that are Horus's equal, Sanguinus could kill him in his sleep. Sanguinus could be having a bad day. Sanguinus could have an arm missing. He could still kill Horus. And then no one else has this ability at all. Period. I'm sure he knows his father can in some capacity, but it's not his father's job. This is a son putting out a son. In their mind, we know, this is not referencing what the emperor feels about them. This is what they feel about each other, and then how it relates to their father. I'm using air quotes a lot. And he knows that no one else has the ability that he has. And if there's anyone that's in this entire universe that can take this guy down in a way that's going to end the battle, then it's Sanguinus. Period. Sanguinus is pure, and he is the light of the Imperium for a long time. All the time when the Emperor is trying to shroud his own light and to let others shine, the only thing that does shine or shine anywhere near as bright is Sanguinus.
Have you read Titan Death yet, Paul?
I don't read.
Well, you may want to edit that part out.
I do read it.
I know you do. There's this great scene in Titan Death where Sanguinius has basically decided that he knows when he's going to die. He knows that he knows that Horus will kill him, not that he can't kill Horus. He knows what's going to happen, right? If we're putting a nice blood ruby glass over our eyes here, waxing a little romantic. But I love his approach to dealing with impossible foes and situations, because it comes down to, I'm not going to die here today. So whatever I point myself at is not going to make it out the other side of that conflict. You will love the things he decides to go up against.
That's fair. I mean, especially he's a little bit of prescient, so he knows what's happening. So when all that's been decided, and then comes a time to where you don't know what your future is. You know that you're going to enter this encounter with another organism, Horus being in this case, and that there's only two outcomes that can happen, is you can kill him or he can kill you. And then when you start to, and this is where I think actually going to happen. So all that stuff happens, and then this starts happening where they get into the actual confrontation. Like, they start figuring out ways that as they battle, like, neither one of them wants to kill the other one for a variety of reasons. Horus doesn't want to kill Sanguinus, because Horus thinks that Sanguinus could be an important ally. And were he to get him to an ally on his terms, then they will, back to back, take over the Imperium, and there's no question. There's no question. If he were to slay him on bad terms, or whatever, I just outright beat him to death and slay him down. Sanguinus is an actual angel. He is the embodiment of angelic divinity. Are you tracking me so far?
Paul, I think that, gosh, that's just wonderful theory you've got right there.
I don't even think you believed that when you said it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, right?
I feel like I'm being, provoked in a passive-aggressive way.
So, with Sanguinus, I mean, he knows he can do this. He knows he can do it, but it's all the ifs if he can't, or whatever. But, being a human, being that all the Primarchs have these flaws, dialed up to a million that we have. So every ounce of his confidence is metered by self-doubt and the other side of this angelic coin. And so I think what's going to happen is that he's going to come face to face with the other side of that angelic coin. And I think that he's not going to fall prey to it. He's not going to tempt to it. But I think he's going to understand it because he's Sanguinus. Sanguinus is smart enough to do it. I know that he's going to be like, okay, if chaos got me, this is what happened. And you know what? I'm still Sanguinus when it does. And then that leads him to take just a bit of a breather. Just a little bit of you know what? Horus, let me collect myself right now. Horus is going to be like, yeah, you know what, brother? You go ahead and do it. Everything's fine. But instead of letting him collect himself, that's when Horus kills Sanguinus. Right when he has all his emotions right on his chest, right on his sleeve. Everything's at the surface for Sanguinus. And that's when he gets killed by Horus, and that's what causes the psychic backlash from the Blood Angels.
I think it's going to be really, really funny when the book comes out and Sanguinius just trips on a bolter casing or something.
He gets killed by some souped-up obliterator.
Breaks his neck or something.
And lands at Horus's feet.
It's just so anticlimactic. Oh, gosh.
But I think the other side of that is that I think that Sanguinus sees a reality to where you're right, Horus. I could just flip right now, and this whole show is over. Like you and me, buddy, we're back to back, and if I decide to go your way, there's nobody left in this universe that can stand up to us. And that doesn't sit right.
It's the buddy cop drama we never knew we didn't need.
It doesn't sit right with him.
It's like Tango and Cash Part 2.
It doesn't sit right with Sanguinus, and then he leaves himself open. He waits for his father to seem like he's about to have another sign of life or whatever, and he's all like, take me now. Whew. It's tragic all over the place, but
that's painful.
I just cried a little.
That's how I'd write it. That's all I'm saying. And Sanguinus knows that the only way, he's the key. He's the key. And it's what he wants to do. And it's the universe that gets involved and start to play with him about what he should do.
I was not prepared for where this was going.
Any one-on-one human being, or anything, any beast, doesn't matter what it is. So I don't care how tired
I think the key difference is, right, say Sanguinius can kill Horus, right? He's not going to be like Russ and be like, oh, I could have killed him, but I didn't, and then laugh about it later in a coma.
That's it. Ain't nothing getting around how awesome Sanguinus is. If you thought this was going to be a discussion
that I can agree with.
About how that
he's okay.
We're going to find some chink in Sanguinus' plan, and that's what, no, there is no fallibility in Sanguinus at all. But he also knows that's part of his burden. He knows that. So when he's got to choose what the face of Sanguinius you see, and I think in that situation, I think there's going to be some temptation where he and his, analytical mind and foresight with his powers looks out and sees even a single reality where he betrays the Emperor. And then that is what actually opens the chink in his armor and allows for Horus to win. That chink might even be the psychic stream that goes out to his bloodline. It's real.
Is it though?
We'll see, right?
This is gonna be a long show tonight, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it might not be real.
A lot of ground to cover, and you just had to sit through all that. So
it might not be. This is one man's interpretation. Now, we'll also say that I can't type back like I'll be right back or whatever. I'll be right, Blood Angel. That's what it changes it to. So that's how committed I am.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that commitment lasts post FAQ, because every FAQ up to this point, like we talked about last week, has somehow managed to erode that commitment.
Blood Angels.
I really want to jinx you guys and just say, what could they possibly do to make it worse? Just so I get to laugh and take the blame when it comes out and they've somehow, I don't know, shortened your jump infantry to 6-inch movement or something. I don't know. They'll come up with...
I could see that being something. I mean, just nerf the fly keyword even more. Maybe make it so that, like, Wings of Fire you can't use on the first turn anymore, or any I don't know, something just cruelly unnecessary, like Librarian Dreadnoughts aren't characters anymore.
You never know what's going to happen.
Why was that even necessary?
I just don't know. I don't know that someone would go out of their way to pick on Blood Angels.
Well, I mean, kind of felt like they did with the last one.
If you expect the worst, then you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And we should talk about the fact to some degree. Tell you what, let's take a quick break. I have a word from one of our sponsors, and then come back and talk more about some stuff that does not have me pining over wishlisting theories.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, we are back. I still got Chris and Ricky.
We made it.
So on Twitter, I'm Warmaster_TPM, and I have put up a figure for giveaway. It's the first giveaway I've ever done. This is for Lieutenant Amulus, the event-only Primaris Lieutenant. Does this ring any bells for y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, the event-only guy, the exclusive.
Yeah, gotta make that.
He's sitting in my car right now to get assembled.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why he's in my car to get assembled. It's a long story, but he's in my glove box.
A lot of people don't have access to this, so I said, you know what, I'm going to do a Twitter giveaway. So you can find me at Warmaster_TPM, and this is running towards the end of the week, through the end of the week. And all you have to do to enter is leave a comment about what chapter that you would paint him. Chapter or Legion, so letting you do him as a Chaos or Imperial. And I'm proud to say there have been 400 entries so far.
All of them say Blood Angels, and all of them are some variation of Christopher Morgan.
There are a high percentage of Blood Angels, thankfully, but I'm actually going to put together a list of the ones that have declared which one. So at the end of the week, there will be I'll enter all the names in a spreadsheet or something, and then go to one of those random number generators and pick somebody. That's it. That's it. It really is it. It's not about who follows me or whatever. It's just about, really what I posted it up was a way to give back to people that currently follow and, that have been encouraging the whole time. I mean, it's just posting pictures up to the hobby account and just seeing the likes and seeing the encouragement of stuff, is really helped me get me through to the next one.
And then they better show us pictures of them painting it up in that chapter, right?
I won't hold them to commitment to the painting of that particular color afterwards, but it's been a lot of interest, and it's really neat. So thank you everyone that's done that. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. The idea is to, of course, win some stuff and whatever, but it's a lot of people that checked in, and it means a lot. I mean, then they showed up to listen to talk, about Sanguinius rewriting history, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we were probably 15 minutes away from it turning into Blood Angel's erotic fan fiction.
Oh, should I tell you about the
No.
The rebirth?
I was just in shock the whole time.
Rebirth, the next emperor.
No, because you told me
the
this.
Star Child theory. Ooh, that's fun.
Well, the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights, remember that they hold the rest of the gene seed of the other legions that have gone to chaos. They didn't fall to chaos.
Well, now Belisarius Cawl has it too.
Yeah, he's got some.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty cool too, because Cawl actually asks. Cawl keeps asking Gilliman to let him use the Traitor Legion's gene seed because he's like stabilized it and everything, and is like very confident that they can use that gene seed to make Primaris Marines that won't fall, that won't be
took out the gene that said filthy traitor.
Yeah, he took out the traitor genome out of that or whatever. And
it was the orange. We all could have told him, look, it's the orange.
It's the one that's glowing orange.
Yeah.
Clearly. Yeah.
It has an 8-pointed star on it.
Yeah. We all knew.
You just zoom in with a microscope and it's just the Chaos Star in it. It seems pretty obvious in hindsight. But yeah, so Gilliman's like shooting that down, but Cawl does possess all of that Chaos gene seed. Well, not Chaos, but those Legion.
I not so secretly suspect that he's already used some.
Yeah, right. That's just good storytelling. If he's already,
that's not Chaos Space Marine. That's Blood Angel. Some pure sanguinus.
It's fine. Don't worry about that. That little guy over there. Don't worry about that guy.
Pure sanguinus.
It's the guys in the Ultramarines army. They're just a little bald and pasty.
Don't you know somebody a little bald and pasty? I know you
do. We really shouldn't talk about. Never mind.
I know you do.
Shouldn't talk about that way. Oh man, the lower theater. I mean, we need some like freaking theater, like piano music. Like, what is that show where like there was a guy in the fancy chair with like a smoking jacket on, had this little like historical ditty playing, and he would introduce like, this is the next episode of Sharp's Rifles. We just do like a little Paul Murphy lore corner, have him smoking a bubble pipe or something.
We just do like drunk history. But it's just Paul on his sleep medicine
that's
telling
about
us
right.
about the lore. Yeah. The one lore thing that I did like that I recently got around to though was what was the book that came out when Dark Imperium, when Gilliman is talking about the Emperor and he's just saying basically we were just tools to him. Like, we weren't his children. He didn't look at us as children. He just looked at us as
that's a narrative that has gone through from the heresy. Like,
yeah,
you call me father. Like, what? I'm not doing that. Y'all decided all that.
Ricky, you really should read that AMA from Aaron Dembski-Bowden. He talks about that quite a bit. Very interesting. Like the idea that he calls Angron the 12th. He doesn't say his name. He calls him the 12th. But literally the only word that the Emperor says out loud in the entire book is Magnus. Right? So, like, what does he really think? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. That's part of the fun. But I can see someone calling Gilliman like, oh, hey, number 13.
Yeah. Well, the only time people
dead anyway.
Screw up with the Emperor is when they are applying all these human emotions to him or human traits to him. And then he just goes off being non-human sometimes.
I think the thing is that he is the most human. There's this concept that people often apply to certain cultures, but I think if you take that to the extreme with the Emperor, it's not that he's inhuman, it's that he's so human, and that includes all of his flaws too. It's just brought up to a bigger scale.
If you say so. I think the dude has problems on his mind that we have not yet begun to think about.
Like his mortgage. Probably got some kids out there somewhere.
He probably has 4 student loans.
We know he had
student loans, of course.
At one point,
a student loan he has a student loan on Earth for every 2,000 years of existence.
If he got that around now, it would make sense he'd still be worried about it in the 41st millennium.
That's why he's got to take over Cadia, because he gotta get that.
What does Cadia even have to do? I don't
Look,
okay.
It's a clear line in the 40,000th year, is that they hold most of the interest rates on student loans.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone knows that now.
That's why
Cadia had to fall.
Cadia up to get rid of student debt.
Yeah.
Someone's going to make like a terrible Flash animation of us all talking about this.
Of more student debt gone now that Cadia is gone. That's it. So Abaddon is really, savior of the people.
Wow. I mean, I wish I could jump as far as your logic, Paul.
Well, you see, okay, let's do it this way. Abaddon, really, he's only going to kill the people dressed in the enemy's uniform.
I'm pretty sure he's going to kill the people dressed in his uniform, too, when he feels like it. Let's be real.
You're making an assumption, and you're casting dispersions on Abaddon.
Come fight me.
As Abaddon, I don't have
Abaddon.
to.
Who cares? He's named after some primeval demonic entity from Assyria or Mesopotamia somewhere. Like, I'm not scared.
But that's just the perception.
He's a
of
bad
someone else.
dude.
It's perception.
I think this is the night that we break Chris.
Yeah, it's perception that he's a bad dude. And what's that?
Just because there are multiple perceptions doesn't mean that each perception is equally valid.
Well, but that's a judgmental call that you're making.
But it's a judgmental call that you're making.
Not really, because I can objectively say that Abaddon is pretty good to his his Thousand Sons lieutenant that works with him in the novels.
Sometimes?
It's all the time. And until that wound starts smarting off, he goes out of line, Abaddon brings back in line. And that's okay, because that's leadership.
Oh, man.
It's all about managing your people, guys. He's I just picture Abaddon with his
in that same novel. He just straight up sacrifices any among his crew in order to get out of the Eye of Terror. He's like, oh yeah, take anybody you want. Just take anybody. That was good. Oh, but here's your moral compass, guys. Abaddon the Despoiler. Because you don't get a nickname like the Despoiler unless you're a man of the people.
He didn't call himself the Despoiler.
I guess it depends on which people you're a man of. I'm sure to his people, that would be arrogant, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think you should go into work and make people call you Paul the Despoiler and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I mean, I got my CEO to call me captain, so
there you go.
It could happen.
That wins, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that come with a promotion? You should get more money for that.
Get you a nice hat.
Yeah.
Give me a good company hat. Maybe put a feather in it.
Yeah. Be like, you heard the guy. I'm the captain now.
So
I'm the captain.
To change gears, to bring us back into 40k just a little bit, this weekend we do have the Barnyard Brawl, and then the next one after that is probably going to be the Battle for the Peak or the ATC. The Battle for the Peak that's the event in Florida. They've actually joined the Armageddon series. Really happy to announce more about the Armageddon series as we move closer to it. And I'm going to have a website, some transparent scoring up. It's going to be absolutely awesome. But the real awesome thing about it is that 4 tournaments have subscribed to it, and that we're going to track and sensationalize the point entry and getting 4 participants in these tournaments for the next months, for the next several months.
That'd be cool.
It's going to be fun. So how you get points for that is you show up and play. That's one thing. You're going to get a quarter of a point per battle point. You're going to get a certain number of points per win. And then you're going to get a modifier to your score that's based off of the round that you take your first loss. Or you get a modifier if you go undefeated. In the event of a tie, going to use ITC points as a tiebreaker. Your ITC placing as a tiebreaker. Any questions on that?
That seems pretty straightforward.
I think it's going to be a great way to link some of these events together. Almost going to be like a league of tournaments. Even as we speak, I'm having a Armageddon series logo created that people can include on their tournaments. You should already start seeing the tournaments up here in BCP as Armageddon series this or that. The next one coming up is the Armageddon series Battle for the Peak. I'd mentioned last week they are sold out, and they are still sold out. But you will have the ability to get on the wait list. Then we've got the Masters, which is a 1 day 5 round event. Then later in the year we have the Crucible and the Coastal Assault, which are more traditional style events.
And where did you say the Masters was again?
That's in
down
Augusta.
in Augusta?
Mm-hmm.
Fitting. Nice.
Yeah, so one of the things that I promised is that you come to a tournament that I'm involved in, you're absolutely going to have a wonderful time. I mean, that's part of it. And that's not going to stop now, but it has a lot to do with the people that show up. I think these are going to be destination events and ways to get points. And then I think people may get encouraged to hang out in these tournaments and stay and play every round in these tournaments when they see how the Armageddon series points are going to work out. It's going to be an overlay to the ITC in no way, shape, or form conflicting. Win both. That's it. Just win both. But the tiebreaker for this will be your ITC placement at the end of the season, if there's a tie. I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're going to list scores and points and people up on our website so people can follow along and see how they're doing or root for their favorite player. I'd like this, if this expands past the tournaments that we have now, I would like it to be expand in groups, almost to create like their own additional pods. That way, we can have those champions battle against each other, battle against the first pod's champions.
Do like a regionals kind of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a blast. I think people are going to get into it and be something else. I
love the idea of linked games.
Yeah, same.
Like a linked series, just giving something a little extra for people to go on. We've been trying to coordinate over here to get events run between stores, and I've heard of people doing like store championships where like the champions of a particular store will face off in kind of a state finals or whatever. And I think that those are really fun ideas. And this is kind of like a more organized, larger scale version of that. And I think there's going to be some real like bragging rights associated with it. I think people are going to get excited.
That's the hope. Bragging rights get there. And then I'll do some cool prize.
Keep us posted on how it goes, man.
Yeah. So there's more tournaments. I want to keep each pod at about 4 tournaments. That way you can enter into a pod, and then play all four of them, and then drop your lowest score. So that all helps. And then allow you to go play in other pods over the course of the year. It's going to be great. I think it is. It's going to be awesome.
Well, any excuse that I have to play more tournaments, I'm happy.
Yeah. And win some more prizes for not doing anything different. You're winning, so why not get some more prizes?
Yeah.
That's it. So last week, I know we're an hour in to talking. Last week, we were talking about Grey Knights. We were talking about how to make them be effective on the tabletop. And I mentioned this a little earlier ago, I think, but I love how divisive the conversation got of people really having the strong opinions about how they run and think they should be Grey Knights should be run.
I'm just glad that there's people out there that still are opinionated about Grey Knights, like who still care enough to have the conversation. Because I mean, I've even told my buddy, when he's talking about Grey Knights, he'll talk about this, and we're like, just to rag on it. We'll be like, dude, nobody cares. No, just pick a different art, And he's like, no, I love them. It's like, when you always have that buddy who, his girlfriend breaks up with him, but he still loves her and just can't let it go. That's my buddy and his Grey Knights, right? But what's funny is he'll get us talking about them, and we will just talk so much trash about them, and then he'll mention something. We're like, oh, wait, yeah, I guess that could be good. And then we'll start talking about him with him, and he'll suck us into his little...
He's already predisposed it to be bad, and so...
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, you kind of...
It's like some kind of psychic nudge down a particular path. You're being slowly influenced. Something mimetic. You'll have a mimetic trigger and then wake up 3 weeks later, like you come out of a coma, and you'll have a fully painted Grey Knights army.
Boom. That would be impressive. If I ever got an army painted in 3 weeks, I would definitely be okay with that, even if it was Grey Knights. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, that's definitely the fun of Grey Knights, is how can you make these guys win games? And there's nothing better than winning with an army that everyone says is crap. And that's just the coolest thing in the world.
Welcome to me, all of 6th and 7th editions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There is somebody taking somebody down with all their might. Sometimes it's any given Sunday, a dice game, and you win.
Well, it's good. I'm glad that people are talking about Voldos too, because I really liked him when he first came out. I enjoyed his rules quite a bit. I've had Grey Knights off and on. I've got a battalion of them right now that I got off a friend for a really good price, that I got right when the indexes first came out. It's just looking for something to just kind of tinker around with, and it's been very interesting to see watching the feedback that's coming about Grey Knights and the idea, there are certain things that Grey Knights do that are just kind of exaggerations of problems that regular Space Marine armies have. And it's kind of taken to a little bit of an extreme. So the idea that people are foregoing what we would consider the cookie cutter auto include of the 3 Grandmasters in favor of something else. I think my favorite thing from what we talked about last week was the inclusion of some of the new flyers.
Yeah, they weren't previously available.
Yeah, I've been incorporating something like that into my own Blood Angel list design for a little while now. Just waiting to get the models built. I was on such a big 30K painting spree that I didn't get my 40K flyers painted yet, but it's something that's in the pipeline. It's something that I feel like I just keep hoping the flyers get just a little bit better, but I still like the idea of being able to push forward with something that's got a lot of bullets, that's going to help you clear some chaff, that has some reasonable protections against certain things that, flyers aren't going to get charged by a whole lot in the game. There's always the things with fly that can come and get them, but things without fly, things that you just have to get through, like say, poxwalkers or, guardsmen or whatever, the sort of things that if you were to drop, say, some kind of ground-based shooting thing to try and clear them out, or even something like a land raider, even with the new bolter rule, one guardsman touches it and it's not shooting anybody anymore. But flyers, you have at least a little bit of protection to get out of there, assuming you survive whatever charges you. I think that mobility and flexibility can't be understated. And I think, of course, the Eldar do that best, Paul, like the list you were planning on bringing this weekend. But it is still, I think, an underused tool in some Imperial arsenals.
Do you think, though, that with a Grey Knight list, though, I would almost want to go more like anti-armor with my flyers because I have so much strength 4 shooting in a Grey Knight list. I would almost want to try to get some autocannons or some las cannons or missile launchers or something.
The heavy side cannons. The advice we got came in pretty strong for the absence of Grey Knight Grandmasters. So keep the Dread Knight Grandmasters out, period. That's what we heard. And include things like Dreadnoughts with missile launchers with Astral Aim to get to fire through walls.
I like the auto missile launchers. I like the auto cannons.
Well, the Rifleman's just kind of dependable, right?
Yeah. It's too many shots, all right? But either way, yes, I like Dreadnoughts with Astral Aim. Well, I guess Dreadnought with Astral Aim, right? Because you're only getting one of them. But if you have 3 Dreadnoughts on the table, spread across the table, they're not going to get cover from all of them, and the one they do hide from, have it pop Astral Aim and go to town. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely, they're definitely going to do some work there. But man, no Grandmaster Dread Knights, none.
I feel bad even saying it. I really do. But I think that you can make a case for Voldus and Drago that can hit really hard and get the protection for being a smaller character.
It's the character protection that's really, it's the same problem that the Lord Discordant has, right? On the Chaos side. Hey, here's this really cool Grandmaster Dread Knight or giant, Death Shrimp or whatever you want to call it. And it's really cool and it buffs the things around it, but there it is, right out in the open, hard to hide, and it's not a character. And that's one of the things that, factions like Guard have such an easy time with, is you can hide your characters. Now, with Assassins being a thing, stuff like, Orc Weird Boys or whatever are now under a lot more pressure with the Vindicare Assassins and the new Eliminators.
Do you think the Assassin meta really exists, or is that one of those things that people like us have talked about it so much that it's became the myth of the meta?
You mean as far as people having these assassins out there that we have to protect against?
They don't. People think they have them, so they don't take the lists that are beaten by them. But yet the truth is the people out there really don't have them.
You know what?
I think people have them.
I don't see them a lot, but I tell you what, when I do see 1 or 2 Vindicares in a list, my Dark Angel list is shut down real quick by 2 Vindicares in my opponent's list. It'll gut me. So, and with the new assassin rules, the Vindicare is, I think, a very terrifying 85 points I think, not everybody uses them.
Oh, he's been strong in the right force. I mean, he's not in a list that just does that effect once. I would not when taking assassins, I would not invest those 85 points into one effect.
Well, I mean, and this is assuming that you're planning for 85 reinforcement points. I think that there's cases to be made for the execution force in general. I think that the assassins, even the Calidus, who I was initially a little bit skeptical over the usefulness, has seen plenty of value, and it all depends on what you need to use it for. But even just looking at Space Marines and the meta that's changing with Space Marines is now we have Eliminators, right? If I'm remembering those guys right. Yes. The snipers who can fire out of line of sight.
So good. They're so good. The only reason I don't have 9 in my list right now is because no one will give them up out of their Shadow Spear box.
Well, exactly. Those things are selling like hotcakes because here's another thing. This is the counter character meta. And Grandmasters already suffer from all of the problems that now the weaker, smaller characters are having to deal with in the form of these enhanced snipers, except instead of dealing with sniper rifles that may or may not hurt you, you're getting shot with things like las cannons. So, changing out the Nemesis Dread Knight Grandmasters for cheaper or smaller or more hideable characters and freeing up some of those points, I can see the argument that they're making for that. The counter argument I make to that is a mobility question and a heavy hitting question. Because those Grandmaster Dread Knights, those are the ones that they're going to hurt knights in close combat a little bit easier. Or at least they're going to pull through probably more damage. It's going to be harder to get Drago or Voldus into, to deal that high strength, multi-damage wound to something like a knight. Knights are still very much a big part of the meta. We'll see what happens when the big FAQ comes out. But until something changes there, you still have to plan on being able to put reliable wounds on a toughness 8 model. There's no ifs, ands, or but about it. And Grey Knights can't do that from range.
Yeah. I mean, but you gotta think though, like Voldus and Drago with Hammerhand going in against the Knight, that's still terrifying for a Knight.
Yeah, if you can get there. But once they're there, getting them somewhere else, hope you get that Gate of Infinity.
That's why you got Gate of Infinity, and it's pretty darn reliable. I don't look at Voldus and Drago and think, oh, but they're not very mobile, because Gate of Infinity makes so much of a Grey Knight list just very mobile. So it's not your whole army all the time, but you can bounce that key unit where he needs to go. You can throw Drago across the table, or you can throw a Dread Knight across the table, and and if you have first to the fray, you're re-rolling charges.
I think you have to. I think you have to be burning that first to the fray every time.
Yeah, I think so too.
So there's
so much of Grey Knight points are wrapped up in the fact that they've got weapons that can cut through armor.
First, the fray lets you reroll fell charge.
Lets you reroll fell charge.
Right.
So
and what I'm saying is so much of the built-in cost revolves around combat that you have to try to get them in there, or if you're doing a purely ranged Grey Knight army, there's effectiveness wrapped into each model that you can't undo that's getting wasted.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. You're paying that much for all those force weapons, you better use them. That may not be the right answer, but to me, it just makes sense that you're going to charge in and swing with all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they got most of them only have one attack. A strike squad only has one attack base, 2 for the sergeant.
That's why I think you should get them as cheap as possible. I mean, you have one or 2 hammers, but the rest of them,
I'm not a big fan of throwing hammers on there. I do like the warding staves, because the warding staves and then sanctuary, I like that combo. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what Call's deal is, but why did the Grey Knights not get some Hellblasters? Why did the Grey Knights not get some Inceptors with plasma? So many good. Give me. Oh my God! If you gave me Grey Knight aggressors, I would melt my Dark Angels right now. Can you imagine Grey Knight aggressors just teleporting Gate of Infinity right up? They didn't even move in the movement phase, so it would win every game ever. Just Give Grey Knight players aggressors, GW, and you won't have to do anything else.
Maybe that'll happen by the time I have more gray hair.
It really should, and it would be wildly irresponsible to give them aggressors.
It would be completely irresponsible. Oh, man.
It's so bad. It's so amazing. Because you can't even Auspex scan it.
Auspex scan is another one that people forget about, too. I mean, that's the one that really wrecks people in Eldar when you come down. And look, we did not talk about apothecaries last week.
I love Grey Knight apothecaries, actually. And if you give them the, what's that halberd they get? I can't remember the name of it, but a Grey Knight apothecary with a halberd is actually a pretty scary and relatively affordable character because he can go in and wreck some people and, oh, he took a wound. Oh, well, let me just heal myself and then go right back to work. So
there was a lot of sentiment for Grey Knight Land Raiders.
And the worst thing is, I see where they're coming from, and I don't disagree.
Be able to gate out of combat, it seems to really matter.
Yeah. I mean, it is useful. You're not going to lock it up like you're going to lock up, any other Land Raider. So all those points you're paying, and that's the scary thing, right, is you want to be kind of close to shoot all your bolters and everything, but that's going to open you up for charges and stuff like that. But you just gate back out.
If you just kill everyone, it's worth
or do that. Yeah, that's something you could try to do with a Land Raider in melee.
On that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, but I do want to give a big shout out to everyone who has entered to win Limited Edition Lieutenant on Twitter, everyone that contributed to our conversation about Grey Knights. I think that's been awesome.
Just point out, we just did 2 shows in a row talking about Grey Knights.
Well, I think it's important to talk about some of these less represented factions. There's a reason. There's a reason less represented.
I enjoy this. I enjoy just talking about Grey Knights more than I like talking about, like, the hyper competitive stuff out there, because it's like everybody talks about that, but it's really fun just to go back and talk about something that everybody, just kind of, it fell to the wayside. Nobody is talking about them. As the codex came out and then it just kind of vanished.
I don't want to sugarcoat it. They're missing a lot of tricks now that we consider standard in a lot of codexes. But I really appreciate a lot of people out there that are playing it as their primary army.
And that's the best part. ITC single faction. People are gunning for best Grey Knights now, and it has to stay pure Grey Knights, and I love it.
If we can help people get the best out of their army they possibly can, that's what we're going to do. That's part of what the show is about. We talk about the trends and the hotness that's coming about, but a lot of the times we're giving information on people or to people to get more mileage out of their models.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just look at your army differently. Look at stuff that's working and what's not working, and just try something new and take advice from other people and try what they're trying and see if it works for you. If it does, keep it. If it doesn't, move on to something else.
There you go. Well, you guys have anything to add before we close out?
I just finished painting, and I made a bolt pistol with my 3D printer. I have a bolt pistol. We're giving it away to our Tryhards Cup. So whoever wins our store championship for the year is getting a bolt pistol.
It looks nice too. You did a good job with
Thanks.
the print.
Yeah. So come play in our tournaments and get a free bolt pistol.
Man, I'll be right over.
You can sleep on my couch.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
We'll see you. Bye.